Now we move on to another European country, but one that isn't very often featured here at events like this, or any other events really. We're going to Bosnia and Herzegovina to meet Lejla Druškić, one of the new DDoc voices. She attended virtually last week for the very first time. Lejla, tell us about your experiences.
Hi, Steffi. Thank you really for the mention of our wonderful country, and thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly.
I did my best.
So, for someone coming from a low-income country that really doesn't have access to many things, it was very interesting to attend such a congress as ATTD, because I got to witness so many new innovations in tech that I can only dream about, and all the other people that come from other lower income countries. And it's really interesting to see the imbalance in the world when we talk about the diabetes, like in generally to access to care, because in Bosnia we don't have access to CGMs in most of the country. We only have parts of the countries that do a refund for the Libre, but we don't have a CGM as a registered device because, for example, Abbott isn't interested in a small country like Bosnia and Herzegovina to register such a device, because we don't know why. Well, but we can only guess that they wouldn't have much profit from us, and that it would be very hard to integrate to have our healthcare system cover a CGM. So it really shows that we have a lot to work on for low-income countries to give them better access to all of these things. Because when I see someone talking about looping, I'm like, okay, so what is this now? Like we don't know what this is. And I also saw a lot of HCPs from my country attend the ATDD, which I was happy about, but like I can only imagine how confused they are when they see all of those other HCPs talking about so many innovations, and they can't apply that to their patients or don't understand how to apply that to their patients. So it really shows that coming from a low income country, you really don't have any idea what it's like to have those privileges. And it really like showed me that I would love to have access to all of those things. I would love to try all of those things. I see that people have an easier life with all of those things. And I think that, yeah, I'm going to keep advocating for all of those things. And for all the people that come from a low-income country, I definitely feel how it is, because, for example, Bosnia isn't even in the European Union, and even that shows that it's really hard to live in such a country and have access to care, because it's really bad. So I don't know if you have any other questions, or should I tell you more about the wonderful life of having diabetes in Bosnia?
Oh, the wonderful life. No, I'm really glad you're speaking on this so very clearly, because the contrast is huge, right? Bosnia is not far away from Germany, but I have access to all this technology. I can think about whether I want it or not, and people in other countries so nearby don't have access. And I think it's really commendable that you're such a loud and engaged advocate. And I have a question for you, basically. What can the diabetes community do to support people in lower income countries in the fight for access?
So what can the diabetes community do? That's a really good question, actually. I would love to see more support towards low-income countries in the way of that all of those pharma companies finally start having conversations with advocates in those countries, because we don't have many HCPs that work in diabetes. We don't have access to basic care. We don't have access to that tech. So those are very big imbalances that need to be addressed, and we do need the support in the way of education. For example, Germany has an education for diabetes educators, but like Bosnia doesn't have something like that. So integrating the educational programs, integrating health programs, donations for people with diabetes in Bosnia would be very good to see. So in the way of seeing the community and seeing everyone from countries that are more developed than low-income countries, investing them in smaller countries and countries that don't have access would be really good. And I think it's more about collaboration, about openly talking about the problems and speaking up about corruption that also exists in low-income countries, which is one of the biggest problems in Bosnia. So giving that support to those advocates and giving them a platform like dedoc did for me, and I'm really grateful to be able to talking about my country. And I believe that anyone coming from a low-income country being able to speak up about the problems that come up in their countries is very grateful. So just to sum it up, to give people support they ask for, because everyone has a specific need, and giving them a platform to speak on and to speak the truth and to call out all of those problems that we need to address.
Very clear call to action right there from Lejla. Thank you so much, Lejla, for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you again for everything you do.